Hey, welcome to the First Church of Meher Baba the Awakener. One of the things that Meher Baba awakened me to was my ability to attract things that I need or want. And a lot of times, even when I don't know I need or want them. so, but I learned that I did need or want them also by attracting them, and it kind of sank into me that that was a function of my relationship with Baba and how good it was, or how what might be interfering with it. And of course, when I talk about like I've showed you how to do this in other movies, and we can do it again. Just ask, can I cure things? Now, see, my signal keeps coming, so, but that's a signal. But don't move your finger like you just need to let God move your finger. you don't want to do it yourself, It's like Japanese archery. You don't shoot the arrow; it shoots itself. And, if you want to find out what that means, you have to study Japanese archery. Top of the morning.
Morning.
Anyway, so back to when I first went to New York. Okay, well, let me do one of these with you first. So you ask, can I cure things? Now, try this. I'm now removing any dysfunctions in my immune system. Is my immune system free of dysfunction? Okay, a guy came to us for help, and he has an autoimmune disease. I don't know what it is, but it causes him to need dialysis. I've never spoken to him, but I, heard about him through the grapevine. And anyway, so that's in his honor. I thought I would do that. But of course, if he's ever going to cure that autoimmune disease, he's going to have to get the answers to a lot more questions than the one we just asked. And that's why we have a web college. Because the web college feeds you the questions. Okay, when I first got to New York, I had absolutely no idea how I was going to make money. That sorted itself out later because I'm good at making money, but at the time, I had no money and no ideas. And I turned to my friends Edward and Erwin, they are the people who turned me on to Meher Baba. The Luck Boys. That was actually their name, Edward and Erwin Luck. Believe it or not, they certainly brought me luck. Anyway, they were lucky, for those of us who knew them. So they found us an apartment, and we all moved in together. And then we got a bunch of other people who were in similar straits to join us. It was a 2-room railroad flat with a tub in the kitchen. And we had, at one point, 10 guys living in there on cots. Oh my God. And believe it or not, it was fun, Back then I don't think I'd want to do it now, but back then we were young, and we were a brain trust. We shared each other's thoughts and learned from each other. And I started making money, and there came a point where my rent meant nothing to me anymore. But I stayed in that place, in which enabled me to save the money I needed to go to India and more besides. And then Meher Baba announced a darshan. This was going to be, for us, we were going to go in June of 1969. So the year was 1968. And so Baba announced the darshan, and at that point I had attracted the money I needed to go, and I was a bit lax about, getting my passport, it wasn't until June, and this was like October, so I was, well, I can do it later. But Eddie and Irwin, man, they got their passport ready, and, I guess they must have even booked their flights and all, and, or maybe not, but at least they got their passports. I had nothing. Oh, brother. And so the way this worked out was very interesting, because I had this job at a car dealer, and the job ended on Friday night, January 30th, 1969. The next morning, or it might have been the day after that, I don't know, but it was on Saturday. Now, Friday was my last day at work, and on Saturday morning, Eddie and Irwin walked in. They had moved out of the apartment. I was the only person in that apartment at that point, which was not a problem. I could afford the rent by myself real easy. They'd all gone elsewhere. But they walked in and they said, Meher Baba has dropped his body. He died. And we're on our way to India to view his remains before they inter them. We're on a plane this afternoon. They just, what a pair of good friends. They came by to tell me, made a special trip instead of a phone call. They both walked in. I mean, you really had to love these guys, because their commitment to other people was just incredible. I had friends like that, you see. I've always been surprised, like when I show people how to cure things, and they do it, and then they have no commitment to helping anybody else, or any skill to know how to help other people, because they just never developed those social graces, I guess, whatever. But there's just so many people out there like that, and they deserve help too. I'm not saying, but it just surprised the heck out of me, because the people I knew, they were like really, really committed to everybody else. Anyway, so they said, we're going, get yourself packed and come with us. And I said, well, gee, I don't have a passport or anything, and plus I own stock. I put my money in stock. And so I said, I'm going to fix this, and I'll get there. Don't worry, I'll get on a plane at some point, go. So they went, and I called my broker, and he told me it was going to be 5 days to settle. And so I just realized I'm not going to be able to go anytime soon, and I won't be able to view Baba's body when he's above ground. But that's the way it is. So I'm just going to go anyway, and I'll get everything done as the time in the time it takes. So I sold my stock, and I that instant, and I went to the passport office and got that working, and I had a cat. What was I doing with a cat? Well, the cat lived in the apartment before I did. So really, it was the cat's apartment. I was a guest, and so you know, I was responsible for this cat. Whoever the owner was had long since moved out. The cat was passed from person to person to anybody who lived in the apartment. We all took care of the cat. I mean, all we did was, empty the litter box and pick up cat litter and stuff. And, we all managed to get it done. I don't know who did it, but there I was, and I had a cat. And there was nobody to pass the cat on to anymore. So, I knew my neighbors, but I felt responsible for the cat. And suddenly I got the idea, it just popped into my mind, that Baba wanted me to bring the cat to India. Now, if you don't know much about Meher Baba, then, it may come as a surprise to you that here was this guy who died, and I thought he wanted something, and because Baba never died for me. I mean, Baba is as alive now as he was in 1967 or 5 or whatever. He's with me, and I'm with him, and that's the way it is. Nothing has changed, and his dropping his body didn't change anything for me. For a lot of people it did, but not for me. So anyway, I had got this idea, that Baba wanted me to bring the cat to India. Now, this is a tall order. At the time, they didn't charge extra to bring your kitty. And what I needed was a cat crate. So now you have to realize that by this time it was February in New York, and it was freezing, just freezing. And so I'm walking down the street on the Lower East Side in the East Village, back when it was a slum. And you would walk down the street there and worry that somebody was going to jump out of a doorway and mug you, which nobody ever did to me, but it was still always a concern. So I'm walking down the street and I'm thinking, well, I don't have a cat crate, so maybe Baba doesn't want me to bring the cat. Maybe I need to give the cat. I could find somebody to give the cat to, or maybe, maybe I'm supposed to get a cat crate. But where would you get a cat crate? Going on like this in my mind, back and forth. Should I bring, not bring, not bring? Oh, I think it was $35 to bring the cat on the plane or something. There was a charge. So this guy steps out of a doorway, and he's following me. And I thought, okay, I've had it. This guy's going to pull out a gun and shoot me. Guy comes up to me, next to me, and he says, "Say, do you know anybody who needs a cat crate?" True story. This is where I learned about the law of attraction. Not necessarily even from that particular incident, but how these things kept happening. Things like that kept happening. And what I got from it is the more connected I was to God, the more things that were impediments were removed from, because they must have been in me, And so when we say, can I cure things, we're not just talking about physical stuff. Like if you think about the guy with the autoimmune disease, maybe he needs some physical remedy, but to attract it, it would be very much like attracting the money to go to India or a cat crate. He needs to be an attractor for things that cure him, whatever those are. You know, so if it's berberine or something that he needs, you know, then he needs to draw that to him. But it's the same thing for everything else. Like, I'm a stock trader, and I guess when the time was right, all of a sudden there was a program on the web that I could use to trade from my house. And the program didn't work very well when I first started using it, but as I continued to use it, they added features. And one day, when I woke up on Saturday, they had put in a feature that was critical for me to actually understand my trading in a way that enabled me to learn at the rate I've had to learn to win at this. And that's what it is, to manifest, to attract. We used to call it manifesting because at some point I started teaching a course in it. It was back in 1976, actually. I had my first course in manifesting in 1976, which, if you stop to think about it, is only 7 years after I was in India. Things moved really fast for me in my life. You know, I've been like on a rocket ship, and that's been the general trend and direction of my life. And even though I'm a stupid jerk with people and I blunder around a lot, I managed to end up with the exact people I need, and it's always been true. You know, it was true with Eddie and Irwin, and it's true with the people I need now. So there's my little sermon for the First Church of Meher Baba, the Awakener. I got awakened to my destiny by Meher Baba.